So we're in Henford Mount Bagley today, and due to a long thought train that occurred while I was leaving the shower after some fresh manscaping, I can't really tell you where it started, but it did end up on rabbit sims. So today we'll be doing a rabbit hutch for rabbit sims. No one asked for it, but as usual, if you're looking for cute cozy builds with coherent commentary, you are in the wrong place. But now that you are here, you might as well just subscribe as a joke. But as usual on this Aldi middle aisle of build channels, we're going to be starting here with my little mannequin for scale. And we're going to start with the exterior. And I know it's been a little while since my last video. I don't really have an excuse, so I'm not really going to give one. I just needed a break. Oh, and also my game broke and it would not let me update it. So instead of trying to problem solve and actually figure out a way to get my game to update, there was something wrong with it reading the files. I basically just withdrew and sat on the sofa and did some colouring in a colouring book for a few days instead. But eventually I managed to fix it, which is why I'm now playing the game again. But I believe a few people have had problems with this game, so I don't feel like I've been discriminated against very much with my little mishap of file reading or whatever was going on. I don't know, I'm not a computer scientist. If I have an issue with my PC, I just get one of those like computer priests to come and look at it, and they open up that big black box into the void and talk in hieroglyphs to the computer and then press enter and it just fixes it. And I've no idea how they do it. But if it's not a program, I don't know what I'm doing with it. So someone else actually helped me solve the problem because I was just, crying in a corner. But we're here. We're using these what country, what do I call it? Country living, cottage cheese living, that's it. Roof beams, which I've never once used a single time in my whole life, which is an absolute lie. I use these all of the time for far too many things than actually ever using them as a roof beam. So you can see here I'm basically just using these as an entire like scaffolding sort of system for a wooden run. This is going to be the rabbit run. And I've looked up at a few pictures of this on Pinterest. I looked at a few different like rabbit run designs. My Pinterest at this point has no idea what to recommend me because I'm just looking up all sorts of nonsense on there for all of these builds. But there were a few that caught my eye, and this is almost like a combination of a few of them and just sort of what I wanted to do and what I felt like doing. So I'm going to use these chain link fence things from Live Edit, and I'm not sure what pack they came from, so don't ask me. And these other pillars, which again, I don't really know where they came from either. They're just wooden and they matched, so that's why we're using those. And I'm making these in sections to look like one of these. They always have, it's called like chicken mesh. This like type of fencing on pet like runs and things is chicken mesh. It's so that the foxes don't get in and eat them, really, isn't it? Or cats. I suppose it's also to stop the rabbits getting out as well, but rabbits aren't really very tame, are they? I'm not quite sure why we keep them as pets, because I had a rabbit once and it never wanted to be petted and it used to just run away from me. But I do know my cousin had a rabbit that was very friendly and it was a house rabbit, so I feel like maybe they're meant to be like indoor house rabbits where they can't run away and they have to be forced to socialize with you, but if you put them outside they really don't want to be friends. That, or I was quite young and just traumatized the poor rabbit, which was probably more of an explanation actually, because I never used to do that thing where you're meant to leave them to settle. I would just immediately try and grab them, even though my mum told me not to, but I ignored her because I knew best. So but I kept my rabbit with some guinea pigs, and I also had 5 guinea pigs. And I had a run like this when I had 5 guinea pigs. And I'm saying 5 guinea pigs, it didn't start as 5, it started as 2. And then one of them got very, very fat. And my mum thought she was overfeeding the guinea pig. And it turned out that the guinea pig was pregnant as I opened up the little hatch one day, the door of the guinea pig hutch. And I thought that some rats had got in there and were eating my guinea pig. But it apparently just had 3 babies overnight. And I, at that point, got slightly autistic about it and started reading up a lot about guinea pigs and pregnancy and all that stuff. And I learned how to sex the guinea pigs at 8 years old to figure out which ones were male and female. And my mum very stupidly told me I could keep the females. And then I had a look and they were all females. And she didn't believe me. So we had to go to the pet shop, at which point she got some professional person. Why I wasn't good enough at 8 years old, I've no idea. But they confirmed that it was actually, yes, all 3 of them were females. At which point I just looked at my mum and very smugly, because she hadn't believed me. So we kept them. We had 5 guinea pigs. And that's the story of my 5 guinea pigs. It's not actually that exciting really, other than the fact that we bought a guinea pig and it was pregnant already, so I don't really know what had been going on in that, truck to Pets at Home or so. It's a little bit suspicious. But there we go. Maybe the guinea pigs had just been holding like drug-fueled nightclub raves when the shop closed, who knows. I don't judge, and she was a very good mother. And we had another female who was like the auntie. That was until I very tragically dropped one of them, but they lived, so it's fine. So I don't even know why I'm telling you that. Anyway, we're using more roof beams here. And I wanted to do a sort of split level roof here. I've really not told you very much about what's been going on here, have I? But you can sort of figure it out. I've pretty much done the same thing over and over again. But one thing I am doing is I've removed the roof from over the run bit because I wanted the roof on the house bit to be higher than the run bit. There's too many R's in that sentence. So that's what I'm doing here. And we're just gonna not actually put a roof over the run bit because I realized that I couldn't be bothered. So that's really the reason why I didn't do that. And instead I'm just gonna make some beams using the roof beams. So this is the one instance throughout this video that I will actually use these roof beams for their intended purpose. And the rest of the time I'm going to be using things like tool mod to just turn them around and flip them and upside down and all sorts of things. Because I feel like when I'm playing this game, I actually think that I'm playing Planet Zoo, where you have all this like toggleable widget that lets you move things around in a way that you just can't in The Sims, and I just refuse then to go back to The Sims and allow The Sims to dictate how I should be placing roof beams. I feel like I should be able to do what I want with the roof beams, and I will force it to happen even though it normally breaks the game and turns my lots into something that makes my games crash. I will do it anyway. So here we are coming to our first little like crisis of color palette. We'll have a couple of those as we go through this bit. It was almost looking as if I'd tried to make a dollhouse instead or something, so we just end up with going with the wood colour palette by the end of this. But my theme here was, at this point I didn't really know what I was going to do on the interior. It was more just the outside, making it look like a rabbit hutch and a rabbit run. So I'm placing all sorts of different wooden pieces here. I do end up getting rid of the ones I've used as walls to place actual walls because I was starting to fear that my PC, you know, the little robot that lives inside my graphics card, was huffing and puffing. And I had to give him a bit of an easier time, so I do remove some of these individual pieces as we get through this. I'm sort of moving these around and trying to make this look like an actual hutch that you could open from the outside, so I'm really thinking about how all of these wooden bits are sort of slotting together as I'm doing this. And the idea is that these are sort of like those doors that you can open on a rabbit hutch. And I'm even going to add some extra pieces that make it look even more like that as we go through this build. Again, we're having a little crisis here of what's the color palette going to look like. We went with some white. As you can see, it looks horrible, so I do end up changing it back. Now, this is the little latch that I'm putting on that they have that, you know, you twist it and then you can pull the doors open and then you turn it back and it holds them shut. I used to love doing that on my rabbit hutch, except when I open the door and the guinea pigs then all scream and run away because, you know, I just traumatized them as this snatching little child. But it was always exciting before I opened the door. And then I'd normally get very upset and just run inside because they didn't like me very much. I've pretty much gone around and done all of this here, and this is where I'm getting rid of some of these extra panels, and I'm just going to put a wall in and then use a wooden wall swatch just for ease of reducing the number of items in this build. Place some grass on the outside, and now I'm going to place a door here because I realized that my rabbit sims couldn't actually get in here because it was all closed up. So we're going to open up one of these panels and have this as a door that kind of opens from, I guess, the side. Again, this is a nightmare normally because you would open this and then the guinea pigs would try and run out sometimes. And you'd be screaming and trying to get them from, you know, running away. At least mine used to do that. I think they used to just have escape plans plotted because they really didn't like me. And they just didn't want to be in captivity, so they used to hatch little escape plans every time I opened the door, and they'd either run away from me, or they would actually run at me, like, as a group with this bizarre kind of intelligent dynamic, as if they were, like, pack hunting, and then they would try and run past me and all escape at the same time. I don't know, I just feel like I had very bizarre guinea pigs. And now we're just going to add this open area here where we're going to put a ramp, because they always have these like wooden ramps that you tend to slot on, and then they get all rotten in the horrible UK weather. So this nice wood effect never really stays very long in the UK, because it gets wet immediately and then it just molds and gets rotten and it just stinks and it's horrible, and then the guinea pigs pee inside it and things. the rabbit, if you have a rabbit, that produces even more pee. I don't know why we're talking about pee, but this is a genuine thing that happens with hutches, and I feel like people don't talk about it enough, is they're just not made very well to be like waterproof. They just rot, and then the pee rots them even more, and then they smell, and then you get these weird little green areas inside them, and it's not a normal green. It's like very fluorescent highlighter green. It's weird. And then sometimes you also get pink, and it's this combination of like green and pink, and then you scrub it off and then it comes back again. And I don't know why I'm now recalling this with such clarity that I can actually smell what this am I making this up? Was my guinea pig hutch weird that there was just these patches of like lime green and pink inside it? Or is that normal? I don't know. I'm starting to think that I was perhaps doing something wrong, so we're going to move on from that now. I'm adding some more of these latches, because the idea here is that we've swung one of these panels open, this door, and to place the staircase, and then it's going to attach to the other side with another little turny notch thing, which I don't know the proper name of it. Here I've just placed the rest of the walls below because I've placed so many planks now. You don't want to watch me do the rest of it, it's really boring. We're going to move inside and we're going to place some more steps down. So the entrance is actually the top floor, and then there's this lower floor, which is presumably the part that the guinea pigs always run to. I don't know why I keep saying guinea pigs when this is a rabbit build. It's because I wanted it to be guinea pigs, but I couldn't find a guinea pig costume, so it's rabbits. So every time I say guinea pigs, just like change it to rabbits in your head, because I am too lazy to make my brain do that right now. So we're placing this little ramp down, and this is where they're going to run and hide when you open up the thing. And, you know, you had this idea that you're going to have these really social, lovely little rabbits, and they're going to want pets and things, and they don't. They just run away from you all of the time, and that's where they're going to go down and hide. And you're going to have to do some weird, bizarre, contortionist elbow work to try and get them out again. So yeah, that's sort of the design here. Maybe it's not the best. Maybe I should have put a door on the bottom floor as well. You can imagine that there's one there, but I didn't actually do that. So I think really you're gonna struggle to get your rabbits out of this one if they don't like you very much. But we've closed this off. We're just gonna make a few more walls to split this up into different areas, because we are actually gonna decorate this and have it look sort of a bizarre combination between rabbit hutch and actual house. At this point, I really hadn't even decided what I was going to do yet, but as we go through to the interior work, which we will get to soon after we've lit this up with some lights, you will see the sort of vibe that we end up going with, this sort of slightly cartoony, just fun, cutesy, whimsical, I don't know. It was just some weird idea that I decided what we're going to do, but before we do that, I am going to introduce you to these 4 rabbits that I made. Very briefly, they all have randomized traits. They're all, I don't even know which ones are male and female. They're just random Sims in the 4 bunny outfits. But they're cute, and that's all that matters, really, isn't it? Oh, and a fox. There we go. So now we're going to go in and we're going to do this mudroom thing. There's some mudroom kit came out. You tell me what a mudroom is. I don't know. What is a mudroom? Whatever they are, we do not have them in the UK. That or it's something very middle class. Even more so than a conservatory, because I know people with conservatories, but I don't know people with mudrooms, so you tell me what it is. It just looks like a weird kitchen sort of thing that's not a kitchen to me, but we used that anyway. And now we're going to make an actual kitchen that is not a mudroom, and we're going to do that next to the mudroom to make it even more confusing as to which part of the room is kitchen and which part of the room is mudroom. There will not be any mud in this build because we're actually going to do sawdust and hay instead. So potentially you could call this a hay room rather than a mud room. I don't know. Maybe we'll just go with that. But I did think about using these cork boards as a splashback, and I thought about it, and then I did it. So there we go. And now I'm going to place these fleecy rugs down on the floor. I'm not really sure why I did that either. I think I had the idea that it was going to be a bit like fur that had dropped on the floor, but then it just became a pathway. So maybe they sort of drop fur on the floor and make a pathway with the fur. I don't know. A bit of sand here and dirt because I wanted to create this sawdusty sort of effect. You see, I've made it look like a house, but then there's also like sawdust and rabbit hay and all sorts of things all over the floor. It's a bizarre combination. I really don't know what you would call this aesthetic other than like, I don't know, maybe I hadn't taken my medication that day. So we're gonna make a little dining area here as you go up the ramp, because you know what's better than having a draft right there in your face when you're trying to eat your soup. presumably they only eat cabbage and carrots and things. We will add some of those to the kitchen a little bit later for the cinematics. And again, I'm just making this all very sort of rustic-y. I'm using a lot of the cottage living stuff and also the horse ranch stuff. Also, for anyone wondering, I have now settled in a lot more into my new house, and sort of I vented a lot in my last video, but I think I've processed most of that now. And I think that's probably also why I needed a little bit of a break, other than the fact that the game broke, is because I was just, you know, processing my last year of various things that had occurred. But I'm now back, I'm now ready, except I'm not actually back because I am going away this week. So that's a bit of a lie. But I do intend to do more, and I was thinking about doing more of the trailer videos, where I did a really stupid trailer for the new whatever pack that's coming out, camping kids, whatever, like Camp the House Down. And I just did a silly trailer video for it, so I might just go back and do more of those, but for the other expansions as well, because I found that quite fun. But we're now moving on to this little bathroom area that's going under the stairs. I did think about trying to make it look like it had one of those little litter trays in it, you know, the triangular ones that you can get for guinea pigs and rabbits that you stick in the corner, and then they never ever use it, but it's just there. But then because they never ever use it, I just thought, why even bother? Because I've learned from my experience that they just, you know, pee and poo wherever they want to. So we're going to go with an actual bathroom. And again, because there's no door, I'm not even sure if they will actually use this or whether they'll have a tantrum because they think someone's watching them. But they're rabbits, so they should just get over it, really, is what I think. And now we're going to move on to the little bedroom, and I like this idea of having these bunk beds because I thought they were really cute, except they don't quite fit, so I'm just going to shove them into the wall just a little bit using the Alt key, and they do function, thankfully. They can get up there, I did test it. And we're going to have them all different colours, but I've gone with this sort of like pastel-y colour palette, which again I hadn't really planned to do other than once I'd seen the rabbit costumes and they're wearing all these pastel-y looking clothes. So then I started to do some pastel-y interior, and I liked how it looked, except those top beds, which are a horrible colour, but they stay like that, so just pretend that they're a bit different. And now I'm going to use some of these corkboards again, because I started to like how those looked in the kitchen, some kind of sort of raw material aesthetic, because I'm going again with this combination of like actual rabbit hutch and then also not a rabbit hutch, also a house, and I sort of combine them both into this new thing that I've made up. And maybe we should come up with a name for this aesthetic, and I can't think of one, so that's down to you. But we are using these leaves from the Enchanted by Nudists pack, which again is another thing I haven't really used, and I thought they looked quite cute until I didn't, and I thought they looked stupid. So we then cover those up with a lot of hay and sawdust. Here we go. That's what I did, and then I started to think it looked all right again. So I've placed a few plants as well up to the side here, and we're going to just shove a few of those in, which really made this build look a lot more cute after I'd put these in. And I just like the idea of the rabbits being in there and having lots of plants. And again, what should I call this? What aesthetic would you call this? Rabbit cottagecore? I don't know. Final room, and it's going to be more like a living room, and I put a florist bench in there because I like the idea of the rabbits just doing florist work while they're in there, and we're going to put some vegetable patches outside when we get there as well. I just, you know, who knows what the rabbits are doing here. Something that doesn't make sense, probably running away from me. So I thought they could have a little library area and a little sitting room. I didn't put a TV in here though, because I just thought that was really stupid to put in a rabbit hutch. It was crossing the line, you know, of this bizarre aesthetic we've made up of like rabbit cottagecore. And now we're putting more of this furry stuff in here for some reason and making another pathway with it. And again, I don't really know why, I just thought it looked nice. So we're also going to give them some knitting and some crochet, because like, why would a rabbit not do that? It just makes sense to me. If your fur's going to drop out all the time, you might as well make use of it and actually make something else with it. Recycling and all of that. So we're going to have a few more plants in here. You know, presumably they can just pluck something out of that barrel that's in there for some reason. This wooden cart, and put some flowers in the flower arranging table. I don't know. But the last thing we're going to do is just put hay all over this place again, because why would we not do that? Oh, I don't know what I'm doing in this build. Perhaps I've been away for a little too long and I don't know how to do this anymore, but I'm going to keep talking because why would I not do that? You know, I'm sat here now. There's a fruit fly flying around my microphone that I keep swatting away. It's all just a complete mess. We're going to put some more sand and various things in there because they're dirty rabbits who don't have a hoover, because again, that would be too much, you know, for whatever theme this is that we've decided we're doing. Onto this garden area, and we're going to have some planting areas so they can plant their carrots and cabbages and various other rabbit related things. They're very self-sufficient rabbits. They don't need feeding. They grow it all themselves in this area here. And then we're going to have some swings as well, because what else would a rabbit do other than swing on a set of swings and then have a picnic next to it? We're going to place some rabbit footprints because they're just very messy and their feet are very heavy. So they do leave little footprints in the ground. A few of these grass thing rugs, whatever they are, I just stuck those down as well. And now we're going to border this with some more plants because we are outside, so there would obviously be plants, except these ones are just, you know, decorative ones. What else are we going to do? I don't know. They have a beehive. I don't know why that's there, but it is. And I thought I'd put this rabbit tree stump, which apparently attracts rabbits. So there's going to be big rabbits and little rabbits, and I thought that would be cute. So now I'm going to finish off this with some live edit grass because I wanted it to look just a little bit more detailed than it was. It was looking a bit sterile, and I wanted to just get a bit more wilderness in here with a sort of combination of wilderness and sort of pristine shapes, because it's a new rabbit run like we spoke about earlier that hasn't rotten yet. Rotten, you know, the green and the pink haven't arrived. These rabbits all did pee themselves while I was trying to do the cinematics though, which is just some information that you didn't need to know, but I thought I would tell you anyway. Now we're going to do a little bit on the exterior of the exterior here and place these pergolas or whatever they're called, and a few more of these live edit hedges. I just wanted to, you know, I didn't want to do too much external, but I wanted to just sit this within the lot just a little bit more naturally. So we're going to place some hedges and a few different sizes around the edge. And what else are we going to do? I think we're almost finished, which is good because I've not really got anything else to say about this now. My brain's reached that point where it's just stalling. The words are all just garbage colours and all sorts of things that aren't making sense. My brain's almost like the hieroglyphs that you type into that black void box on the PC when you're trying to fix it for the little robot in the draft. Oh, okay, we're done. Here we are. This is the finished result. The rabbits are inside. You'll see them in a moment. Just zoom around. I'm not sure why the time of day changed, but it did. So I think it's evening now. But so here we are. The rabbit's on the swings, having a really lovely time. The plumb bob's still on his head because I forgot to change that with the game update. And another angle here. Oh, he got up, he's bored. So here we are inside. Here's the mud room, which I'm calling the hay room, and it's also the kitchen. We placed all of these vegetables, melons, pumpkins, cabbages, because that's what rabbits eat, so that's what's going to be all in the kitchen. We have this one sat here looking really sad. You don't know, but it's because they did just pee themselves outside, so that's what's going on there. Now the bathroom. I didn't think I would get the rabbit using the toilet because that seemed like a bit of an invasion of their privacy, but I did get them here doing the florist table, which is very cute, although they do seem a little bit frustrated by what's going on here. The other one's gormlessly sat there. And now we're going to have this one here who's, his ears are just clipping into the ceiling, but just pretend that's not happening. And there we go. Thank you so much for watching. This was a mess. Be kind to yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.